thought for half an hour we're actually doing alright, in the game you think, doing alright here, and then next.
We've all been there.
I thought it always had to go to the loudmouths at the back.
Goes to the intelligent ones now, doesn't it? The forwards.
Is that the hardest place?
You can be a loudmouth at the front as well.
Are we allowing that politician's answer on here?
That's a safe answer. Is it the quarterback attributes that you possess?
We'll say that.
Are you still getting stick for hanging about together too much in the training ground, or have you managed to go your separate ways yet?
No, all the time. We've just sort of realised that's the way it is. So people's actually stopped giving us anything.
Welcome to the warm-up, brought to you by William Hill, a proper supporter of the SPFL. I thought you'd forgotten about us. I thought we had divorced already. Back?
I've missed you. I need a wee bit of vitamin D, so I've been on my travels.
Bit of business, bit of pleasure.
Yeah, that's it. But I'm refreshed and ready to go.
Right, good. He's committed between now and the end of the season because so much to play for. Post-split fixtures starting now. You look at the relegation battle, the battle for Europe, so much to get through. And we've got something a bit different for you this week on the warm-up. In light of that, we're going to be speaking to players from across the league. So many different stories and different aims out there. So let's work our way through it and look forward to these post-split fixtures. I hope you're both well. Good to see you both. We'll start with you, Nicky. From the outside, the post-split fixtures at the bottom are really exciting and everybody's looking forward to it. Can you manage to enjoy it when you're in amongst it down at the bottom?
Probably not as much when you're up the other end. Listen, we know what's at stake, how important it is for the football club, not just the football side. It affects everybody, in the building, the people you don't really see and hear about. So we know it'll be tough. We know it'll be really tough, but we're more than capable of going and putting the results together that we need to get us out of the situation that we're in.
Kyle, how tough have you found it? Are you a bad spectator? Have you been miserable to be around since January, just kind of chomping at the bit to get back out there?
Yeah, I've been putting on a brave face the whole time, because being on the sidelines is worse than I get more nervous than playing. So it's been tough, especially with the kind of some of the games. It's been really hard. But look, I've been around the boys and I said trying to push them and get them over the line for the end of the season.
See, for the two of you, obviously being captains, being senior players, I've experienced it myself. When you are playing, it's slightly easier to contribute and lead. When you're not, what are the big things that you are focusing on?
I think what Kel touched on there, just kind of getting around the boys and helping them with your experience. Like me versus Johnstone, we were in a kind of same situation last year, right down to the final day. And I think that's important for the boys that are still here, that were involved in that, to get around the ones that maybe haven't been in this situation before, to make sure they keep the belief in them. Listen, we know they've got the quality to go and perform, but you need to believe that you can actually get out of this situation. There's no point getting into the games thinking, oh no, I don't know if you've got enough to go and do this, and how hard is this going to be? If you go in with that mindset, you've probably got no point to turn up on Saturday, So it's just kind of keeping everybody in the right path and getting in the right headspace that, listen, we can go and do this. It'll be tough, but if we go and sit together and fight and battle and play when the right times, when it's the right time to play, then we can go and get the results and kind of get the 3 points that are much needed for us.
Yeah, and just remind boys that just get back to basics, because in these games when it's higher pressure, I feel like the basics are the simplest things to do, are always the better things to do, and more often will get you the results, because it's always tough games, and if there's ever a mistake or anything that's ever done, it's highlighted more than in other situations. So just be calm and play the simple as well.
Has that been tough for you, Kyle? Because like any long-term injury comes, I guess, with a kind of, obviously a physical challenge, but a mental challenge as well. And then to try and keep the leadership side of it, has that been extra difficult to kind of work your way through the last few months?
Yeah, it's not been easy, especially the injury wasn't meant to be so long-term. It's just because I've tried to push it too hard. I probably made it worse a couple of times, and it's kind of got me 4 months down the road. So yeah, I say I'm just trying to be. It's not been easy, but I'm trying to smile every day and be around the boys and keep the boys happy, keep a buzz around the place. And I say that has probably been the hardest part, is just to try and put on a face that's not always the real one. But I say as long as I'm back on the pitch now, and we'll focus on the next couple of games.
Nicky, for you, obviously semi-finals, brilliant. Unfortunately, it's a defeat. But do you, going into the split games now, do you use that as motivation, that obviously you've got to a semi-final, you play a attacking style of football, that's going to be important, but are you going to use that for these next 5 games?
Yeah, as you say, to get to the National Cup semi-final was brilliant. Also, of course, you want to get to the final, but we came up against a right good side that can. That the 15 minutes before half time, they turned it on, and you see like they can do it to anybody in the league and when they really turn it on. And I thought for half an hour we're actually doing all right. In the game you think doing it right here, and then next
We've
thing
all been there.
We've all been there.
What happened there? No, but yeah, definitely we can take confidence from getting to the semi-final. As I say, listen, we've put good performances in. I think when the manager first came in at the time, we really got a good buzz and a good lift from the energy that he brought, and everybody bought right into what he was wanting to do, and we got good performances and more importantly good results from that. And then we went through a right rough spell around about December time, which kind of left us in the situation that we're in now. We've been fighting ever since then to try and kind of close that gap, and it's been tough. But no, listen, we'll take confidence from the cup run and the performances probably more recently in the last maybe 4 or 5 weeks. I know the results haven't been great for us, but we picked up points, and we've got obviously we defeated Celtic here, which was a major bonus for us. So we'll take confidence back into the last 5 games, that's for sure.
Did you see that lack of sympathy you got from Kyle there when he was just chuckling away at what can happen against the
that's because we've all been there and we know how tough it can be, innit?
That happened to us the week before.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very true. The last 2 teams to be on the receiving end. See on that then, Kyle, I wonder how you feel about the split now, because you won't have that. You've got all the teams round about you. That's the point. It's there for everybody to try and take points off each other. Were you like everyone else maybe who came up here and thought, what is this split that we've got? But now that you're here, you realise the sort of value and excitement of it?
I didn't even know what the split was after I'd signed. I didn't know what it was till I saw there's a free weekend in the schedule. But I have to say, on being on both sides of it with the top 6 as well, I feel like it's brilliant, and I think it's a really fair way to end the season. So, yeah, I guess it's a season where anyone really could have been in the top 6, and not anyone could have been in the bottom 6. But it's been a really competitive season, and it's going to be a tough 5 games because everyone's shown that they played well at some point in the season. So just who can put the games together now.
I totally agree with you that the margins are so... I don't think since I've been a player the margins have been this small with the amount of teams in the bottom 6. So for both of yous, what would you say is going to be the key parts for your respective kind of squads? Where are the areas that are going to make you the difference to stay up?
I would say for us it's doing the basics well and what gets us success well. We don't play like St Johnstone play. So we need to do what we do well, what we're good at. And for me, that's just simplifying the game and sticking together and being a real tough team to play against.
Again, same for us. This is Kyle saying there. It's getting the basics right and stick to your game plan. We've got a way of playing that it's good, it's enjoyable to play in, but you need to do it well to make it work well and get the results. And listen, we need to take each game at a time. Starting Motherwell on Saturday, we need to go there and get 3 points. There's no point in us looking over our shoulders thinking what the ones above us do. If we don't perform and get results, it's not going to matter what the ones around about us do. So it's getting that kind of mindset in the boys, 1 game at a time. We'll go Motherwell Saturday, fight and battle and do whatever it takes to get the 3 points. And if we do, brilliant. Then we can have a wee look after the game, 4:45, and see what the one round about us do. If it doesn't go away, we'll go again next week and try and get the next 3 points there and see where it takes us. So that's the mindset for us. 1 game at a time, do our job, and then see what happens on the other side of it.
I'm just looking at the 3 of you. This is three strikers who were captains. Have we seen a bit of a change in the game here? The strikers make good captains. I thought it always had to go to the loudmouths at the back.
Goes to the intelligent ones now, doesn't it? The forwards.
Is that the hardest place?
You can be a loudmouth at the front as well.
That's very true. see, in terms you have both said, right? See, when the split comes in, we all love it. And as Gordon said at the start, from the outset, the entertainment value is really good. But how different's the pressure? Because I'd imagine you're playing everybody round about you. Every point matters so much. So does the pressure change a lot more from the first 3 games of the season to that last group of games?
If I have to answer, maybe a wee bit, because probably for us more, because we know exactly what's at stake. We've got 5 games to save our place in this league, in this division. So the pressure is high for us, but it's probably more like the boys like myself and the experience list to kind of take the majority of that, the ones that have kind of been there and done it, and kind of the other ones just concentrate on the playing side of things, and listen, we've got boys in the dressing room that are more capable of taking that pressure and that have played in high stake games and probably been in this situation before, as I touched on. So, listen, there's no hiding away from it. There's a lot of pressure on us just now to get out the situation we're in, and it's just about taking that on our stride and going and taking it to the games and performing at a good level that, as I said earlier, to get the points that we need to get out the position that we're in.
Yeah, I think it's not even the last 3 games, it's also the games leading up to the split, depending on where you are in the league, because a top 6, bottom 6 is a lot to every club. So I feel like there is more pressure. I feel like, because as Nicky said, it can change the kind of where the club will be, depending on where you finish. So the reality is that people's jobs are at stake, and the club's finances are at stake, and it's important to try and stay in the SPL.
I want to finish by asking you both about your respective managers. Start with you, Kyle. There might be a perception from the outside that it's one of the things that really goes in Kilmarnock's favour. You've got a manager that's kind of done it all and seen it all in this league. And by the way, I'm sure he'd be the first to say that doesn't bring its own guarantees. But do you feel almost that, I don't know if comfort blanket's the right phrase, but a real trust there that because of his wealth of experience in this league that he'll be the man to guide you through this?
100%, 100%. And I said in a previous interview, it's not just for this situation. It's also for finishing top 6 last year. This year's been a really frustrating year, but yeah, if you just buy into what the gaffer says and do what he tells you to do, 9 times out of 10 you'll be absolutely fine. So it's just making sure we do that. And
then Nicky, the thing is, you've got a different scenario where it's a new manager in who played here, to be fair, a while ago. But I suppose credit to you and your teammates, because it looks like you have continued to buy into what he wants. It's easy to try and abandon that when you're at the bottom of the league, but he seems really clear in what he wants. Is that safe to say that you guys have still got full faith that his way is the way to get you out of this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've seen it when he first came in. The difference in the playing styles from the previous manager to this manager was massive. And listen, there's no saying that's the right way or the wrong way. That's just the way that each manager's seen it. And as I said earlier, it's really enjoyable to play in when it's going well and when it's working. So yeah, listen, the full boys are 100% get the backing of the manager. We love the way we try to play. At times it doesn't work, but listen, we keep going at it. We kind of keep saying if plan A's not working, keep going, try and keep plan A even better. Do you know, that's just the way the manager is, and that's the way he wants to play. So I'm sure if we can play the way, get back to the level sort of that we were playing at when they first came in, passing the ball about. And listen, it is risky. It is risky. We'll also go down at Kilmarnock, we're trying to play out. We get the ball still off us and we lose the goal, we end up losing the game 3-0. There is a risk to it, but the manager's wanting to take that risk. Do you know, he's the one who always says, listen, if we lose a goal, I'll take the blame for it. I'm the one that's asking to play like this. So the boys are bought into it, and as I say, it's great to play in when it's going well. It is tough at times. We went through that tough spell, but I'm sure, listen, that in these next 5 games we'll be playing the exact same way as we have done since the manager came in.
Right, a bit of a Dundee feel to this next segment then. Simon Murray and Glenn Middleton, good to see you both. A nice easy question. Simon, you can kick us off. To both of you sum up the season so far, what's it been like?
It's been an exciting season. I mean, for us, a lot of definitely good games for the neutral to attend, but look, it's been challenging, but I suppose we're down to the sort of nitty-gritty now.
Glenn, same to you. I mean, I take it from the outside, it feels like one of the success stories. We know Dundee United are a big club with big expectation, but to come up and kick on like this must have been a bit of a joy to be a part of.
Yeah, no, it's been really good for us. I think it's been really consistent throughout the whole season. We've had some really good results against some good teams in the league. But like I was saying before, we've kept it really consistent throughout, training in the week. It's never really changed regardless of how the previous week's gone. And yeah, going into a split, we'll be trying to do the same.
See, for me, I want to ask you a question personally, because I think from knowing you, Glenn, way back at Norwich days to now, there's a consistency and a maturity, probably, I would say, where you sit within your squad. And Simon speaks for itself. The goals, the performances, or the wins that have come on the back of your performance. What are the biggest things you are individually trying to draw out of the squad from your perspective, if you know what I mean, where you sit within your relative squads?
No, I think from the start of the season we've had a really good squad. I think the manager's been very clear from day one how he wanted us to be as individuals and as a squad, and I think everyone's really pulled together on that. I think we set our own targets at the start, and I think I think the outside expectation of us as a squad has maybe gone in our favour. I think we had our own beliefs inside the balls of the change room of what we could achieve. And I think we've maybe quietly gone about that quite well. And then from the outside, it's almost like you've exceeded it even more, going on to what we've so far achieved.
What about you, Simon, and your goal scoring record?
Look, I think for me, like we've been really good at times. And obviously Glenn's touched on consistency. That's probably one thing that we've maybe not been so good at. But in terms of the squad and my position, I'm probably one of the more experienced players now. And just trying to keep the guys, when we maybe do have, blips throughout the season, just to get them, going again and keep that sort of, don't get too high, don't get too low. And, I think we've shown in games this season against good clubs that we're more than capable of matching. It's just getting that, as I say, consistency. Maybe better without the ball, but when we do have the ball, we're a real threat. So taking that into the last 5 games, we've got to take the sort of confidence that we've shown against, the top clubs.
You say don't get too high. How are you managing that amidst a Simon Murray for Scotland debate? I think your manager started it. I don't know if you've got all your family and friends signing up to it, but it's been ticking along. Have you taken much notice?
No, I just stick to what I like doing. Just coming in, keep the head down, just keep focused. Obviously stuff like that is, you get a bit of, when you're scoring goals and stuff, you get a bit of talk about you and stuff. But it's just, especially at the moment, I think club football for me is first and foremost the most important thing, and having a good strong end to the season with the team, and whatever happens, but just enjoy it and hopefully grab a few more goals.
Are we allowing that politician's answer on here?
That's a safe answer.
It's so safe. That's the safest pair of hands ever.
Definitely.
You must have some contacts still. You could get them in, could you not?
I do. What my point of view on it is, there's not many strikers like you out there that are in the shape for the national team. So I think it's definitely a possibility. You just need to, keep Dundee up and keep scoring goals.
No pressure.
Yeah, look, it's been a good season from obviously that point of view, and I've had a couple of seasons back to back.
Have you found it easier as you've got older? And it might sound daft, but I think that's been your consistency level and your approach to the games different now than it maybe was back when you were at Ross County. Have you noticed that yourself?
Yeah, look, I think it's just like anything. The older you get, the more experience you get. Maybe the run that I made when I was 22, 23 was just out of maybe sort of being that so enthusiastic or just willingness to run, but maybe it was taking up space for others, whereas now, I'm playing a more sort of central role, and I'm sort of leaving people to do their jobs and just sticking to sort of maybe the basics and that. But as you say, the older you get, you learn your game. You know what you're good at, you stick to it, and I think that's what I've been doing in the last few seasons. So maybe I've got slower, so I'm not doing as much around about. But no, it's all good. But no, just as I say, just as you get you're more experienced, you're learning as you go, and it seems to be doing not so bad.
You didn't look slow when you pulled off that Adebayor celebration a couple of weeks ago, I have to say. But Glenn, I wonder about your thoughts on just how exciting it is to be aiming for European football again. I know you've had a taste of it before, but does that almost give you that determination to go and try and get there again?
Yeah, definitely. And I think the main thing about it as well, I think there's a real belief that we could hopefully go on and do that. Like I said, I think it's all come from the consistency we've had throughout the season, and never getting too carried away and never getting too low when things haven't gone our way. But I think if you'd said going into the split that you were going to be ahead of Aberdeen after the run that they'd gone on, I think it shows that you've maybe been doing something right as a team. So yeah, we'll be trying to carry that on as much as we can going into these last 5 games for sure.
These games are big occasions, high pressure games, but see for you from coming up last year, as you talked about, the expectation has probably helped you this season. Is there a bit more of yous being relaxed getting into these high pressure games because that expectation maybe has been set lower from the outside noise, if you like?
Yeah, definitely. I think, like I said before, it has helped us. But at the same time, you're going into a split where there's 3 points that are separating third, fourth and fifth. So I'd be daft if I sat here and thought and said to you that we weren't aiming for that third spot. All three teams will be, and all three teams will be saying the same. So yeah, I think just going into these last few games, it's who carries out their game plans, going into the weekend as best as possible. And like you said, staying relaxed. I guess from the outside looking in, we've got nothing to lose in terms of the position we find ourselves in. But I think from the very first meeting that we had in pre-season, I think we're exactly where the manager maybe pushed us in terms of asking a question if we could really push on this far.
How much credit does he deserve for that? Give us a bit of an insight into what he's like, because he'd be the first to speak about the kind of kicks he had in previous jobs, and then that brings with it doubters about where he can go from there, but clearly answered a lot of those this season, hasn't he?
Yeah, and I think it's been very much the same since the very first day he came in 24 months ago. When in the first season, I know we ended up going down that season, but he came in quite close to the end of that season. I think that the standards he set from then have really carried on. There's been a good few of us that have stayed throughout the whole time he's been here, and I think in the change room, those standards have always been drilled into whoever's coming in. A week never changes for us. A Tuesday is, regardless of how a weekend game's gone, is always your working day, and that's where we really get our work into us. And then the Thursday, Friday, you're building into the game. And I think we've never really derailed from, the tactics or how we go about things as a team. And I think just that real consistency has really helped us, especially this season.
So, Simon, for you and your manager, Tony Dock, who I know from when he was a coach at Scotland, last season you get top six, and it's a brilliant first season. This season, the pressure's slightly different. Has much changed with how he's worked from the day he came in as manager?
I mean, obviously I wasn't here last year, and it was a great season. So yeah, obviously this season we're pretty much the same. We've stuck to the way that we play, and we do play with that sort of, we're really attacking on the front foot, and in games that's maybe when you're on the pitch and when we've been 2-0 up in game, maybe leading, and it's up to us on the pitch, when to recognise when to go and when not to. But I think the sort of football that we're playing, and the amount of goals that we've sort of scored, it's just the sort of, that's been the message all season, and at times obviously it's worked for us, but it's probably for us on the pitch knowing when not to go and when to go, and that's maybe what when we've conceded goals late on,
Brilliant. Simon, if the Scotland call-up arrives, you've got Stephen Naismith to thank. Glenn, good to speak to you as well. We'll round off the Dundee section. Both get different aims for the rest of the season, but good luck to you both. Take care.
Good luck.
Right, next up, Ross Laidlaw, Ross County, Stephen O'Donnell at Motherwell. Hopefully you're both doing well. Ross, let's start with you, because the life of a goalie, sit and wait your chance sometimes. You've obviously had an injury, and then having to provide that kind of supporting role and put on a smile for everybody and help keep things positive. Is that easy? What's it like?
No, it's not easy. Obviously got injured end of November time, tore my medial, so I was out for 3 months with that. In the meantime, Jack Hamilton was there, and then Jordy, a missus, came in, and he's been really good, to be fair. He's took his opportunity well, and he's put in some really good performances. So it's just a case of me getting myself back to full fitness, and trying to provide that competition, and just hopefully I can get back in the team. But like I say, Jordy's came in probably unexpectedly done so well in the team. So no, it's just a case of trying to prove that I'm good enough to get back in the team, and hopefully I can get back in at some point.
Come on, you can be honest with us. This is not a normal interview. This is you need to be honest with us and tell us how pleased are you for him, and how much do you just wish you could maybe get back involved.
No, obviously, you want to be playing, but I think it's important that the football club does well. I've been here for 6 years, so it's close to my heart. I've loved my time up here. They've gave me an opportunity, but my career probably wasn't going the direction I was wanting to go, and I've came up here and they've given me that opportunity. So, and I've a lot to thank Ross County for. So I think most importantly, I hope Ross County do well and stay in the league. That's more important than me personally.
After
handled that well, didn't he?
You did. But was well so done. Last season, your performances, especially towards the end and through the playoffs, were really good, and you were a big, massive part of it. At this stage, similar in terms of trying to fight off that playoff spot and not being in the team, there's obviously going to be some big bits that you can still contribute. Is that how you feel about it?
Yeah, I feel like I'm one of the senior boys in the team. Me, myself, Conor, Randall, Jordan White, we've been at the club for 4 or 5 years now, so we try and take lead in the dressing room and give boys a lot of advice, because we've signed a lot of loan boys this year and a lot of younger players have came in who maybe haven't experienced it, and it's going to be difficult these games coming up. Like I say, it's a lot to play for and a lot at stake now, so it's just about trying to keep that calm head and keep everyone kind of focused in these games coming up, because we know it's going to be really important for the club.
Stephen, what's the mindset at Motherwell? Because a lot was made about that last top 6 spot. It would have been great for any team to reach the top 6, but actually for the teams that didn't, it then very quickly becomes about trying to, stay out of danger at the other end. You come maybe you feel like you're 10 minutes away from the top 6 if you can grab a goal, to now switch that focus to a survival fight. What's that like?
Look, I think it's obviously the way it kind of panned out. It's been a strange season, and the fact that we're still able to kind of finish in the top 6 just kind of summed up, because we've not been good enough. We weren't good enough to finish in the top 6, and it doesn't always work like that. But I think we're now in a position where we probably should have been through the performances throughout the season, and I think we need to prove that we're good enough to be at the top of the bottom 6. I think that's realistic. Hearts are a good side. We want to try and finish as high as we can, but we also know that how tight the league is, the results can go, and if they go against us, you can find yourself right in the mix. So I think it's so important we get a good win as soon as possible. Hopefully that's on Saturday against St Johnstone, but no, it's going to be a very, very exciting end to the season for the neutral, and hopefully we can get as far away from that drama as possible.
How tough has it been with a change of manager at such a pivotal stage now of the season? Like, you would probably say he's still in the getting used to users probably still getting used to his processes. How difficult is that at this time of season?
Yeah, no, it's been a wee bit different, because especially there's also the kind of the cultural differences he's got, and even just wee things changing the days off that boys maybe aren't used to. But no, it's been pretty good. The manager's been pretty clear. I think you can see kind of adaptations. I've somehow found myself at middle of a back three, which I was told alright a 3, but I never thought middle of a 3. I'm starting to get slower now. I think that's what's happening.
Is it the quarterback attributes that you possess?
We'll say that. We'll say there's only 3 defenders and I'm one of them. But no, but it's so it's been good. Kind of different ideas, and looking forward to hopefully implementing it for the next 5 games, and then hopefully into the SPL next season.
I was going to ask about that. From a personal point of view of yours, dropping back into the right hand side of a back 3, how have you found that difference from when you have been that right back, getting up and down the line?
Different. I think the middle one, certainly playing the other day, was quite a big change. I really enjoyed right at the 3. I'd spoke to the old gaffer a couple of times about it. Steve Clark had spoke to me about it before, and was quite excited about it. Still feel I can kind of add a bit of energy, maybe not as much as I once did, but played pretty much the full season at wing back again, and then since this manager's come in, been playing right at the 3 or now middle. So it's no look. I'm enjoying it. It's a challenge. It's something different. 32. You're never too young to learn new skills, and hopefully it can extend my career. That's the aim. And I'm still loving it. Still enjoying it. Still misplacing passes, things I've done forever, so that will never change.
Ross, see the experiences of kind of surviving before. I think Stephen touched on it about the role you can play, but see just overall as a club with a culture, does it allow you to be, I don't think you'll ever be relaxed, but does it allow you to have a bit of confidence having come through these types of things before?
I don't think you're going to be relaxed about it, because obviously there's a lot of pressure in those games, and I think obviously one a couple of years ago against Partick, we really survived in the last minute of the game. We managed to get over 3-0 down, pull it back to 3-3. But I think we can draw on those experiences, and there's a few boys that have played in those games and know what it's like, and I think the biggest thing is we don't want to be in that situation again. And I think the position we're in is better than we were last year. We've got more points we picked up last year. Maybe not coming in at the best run of form the last 5 or 6 games, but we believe we can go and turn that form round. And like you say, we're playing against all the teams around us, and I think head to head against these teams have done well this season, the bottom 6 teams. So that's what the kind of managers drumming into us, that we need to take that form against them into these remaining 5 games.
You'll know the manager well.
I was just about to say that. You talk about the manager, so knowing him as a player and a person, very calm, very level-headed, very mature. What's his biggest attributes as a coach manager?
I think he's really hands-on the pitch. What he wants to do. But I think, like you say, he doesn't get too high, too down when we get beat. We've had some poor performances recently, but he's not a screamer or a shouter. He's calm. He looks at the game on the Monday morning, goes through what we could have done better and improve. And I think that's what you need at this time of the season. You don't need a screamer or a shouter. You need that calm head and to make the decisions on the sidelines and the substitutes you're bringing on. And I think we played really well. And I guess St Mirren a week last. We see some sloppy goals, but I think the attacking performance was much better than it had been previously. So it's just trying to get that balance right of keeping the back door shut, but being a wee bit more attacking and creating a few more opportunities than we have recently.
What's been the main cultural differences, Stephen, of getting a kind of European style manager in? We're possibly quite bad in this part of the footballing world for being, very set in our ways. What things are different that you've not necessarily experienced before?
Well, I've not experienced it. It's the change. I think quite a lot now down in England, but it's a 4-day build-up. So it's like you're off the Monday and you're in the rest of the week. And again, it's something boys will maybe just not be used to. Your body's maybe not quite used to. His length of training sessions vary. So depending on what he's expecting, and it's all about like what you've covered. Once you hit that, you're done. Like it's not like, oh, you have another 5 minutes. It's we finish when he says we've hit such and such markers, and I've never really had it. I've had that kind of science approach probably lightly where they talk about load, but I've never had it as strict as the minute you cover it, your session's over, which is different. And to be honest, just between that and then now just a wee bit of kind of language, how he kind of speaks about positions and like kind of the second post, he calls it second post, you're kind of going to the back post, like we kind of daft differences. And he really doesn't understand my humour.
He's not alone.
Not many do.
I didn't say it was funny, but my attempt at humour. So I need to tread carefully. We were in a meeting the other day, and I said one said something and somebody said something else, and I went, we got ourselves in a bit of a pickle.
I've worked under a couple of German managers, and one of the biggest things I noticed was meetings. Are you quite heavy on meetings, whether it be tactical meetings or just daily meetings on how your working week's going to be?
Not overly. I think very similar to the last manager. The meetings are different, maybe a wee bit shorter, and he probably gets a bit more emotional in the meetings than he does in the match day. In the match day, it's very, very calm. We're now like the first team out every single week. I was waiting in the Kilmarnock dugout about tunnel for about 10 minutes because you didn't realise how quick he is. But it's kind of Steve Clark-esque, where he feels he's done his work during the week, giving you the ideas, he's giving you the carrots, and just a couple of words here or there to kind of help motivate. So kind of just slight differences more so to the previous manager. But I think we're all enjoying it. We've got a big squad. So I think it'll be important if we're able to get safe mathematically quickly, that the manager's able to kind of get a right good look at his squad and kind of make decisions for moving forward. But as we said, naturally the first goal is to get safe.
Ross, it might be tough to compare, but you mentioned you like arithmetically if you're in a better position this time. Does this squad feel as well equipped or better equipped than previous versions as well? Are you as confident when you look around that dressing room that it'll be another season in the top flight?
Yeah, I think we've definitely got more strength and depth this season than we did last year, definitely. And I think the year before, the same. It's more numbers. I think it just needs more numbers going into these games because you pick up injuries and knocks. And I think a couple of years ago in the playoff game, we were down to the bare bones. I think we had to stick a 16-year-old who hadn't even trained with the first team yet in the second leg against Partick. So I think it's important that we've got competition all over the park and people can come in and step in for each other when needed.
Stephen, I wonder as well, like it feels like one of the big talking points at Motherwell all season has been Lennon Miller. So even against the backdrop of a season where you guys maybe feel things haven't gone brilliantly, there's still just constant attention on him, constant questions, constant speculation about what comes next. How have you found him taking that? Because you're obviously pretty experienced now and you'll be kind of keeping an eye, I guess, and maybe trying to help guide him through it alongside some of the other senior players.
Aye, come on, I'm like, where are you going? How much are you going for? I encourage it. I just want to know.
You try to get a percentage.
I need to give you the scoop so I get in next year. No, look, I think Lennon's been pretty calm for the first day he came in. His mentality doesn't really change, even with the Scotland stuff. He kind of just goes along with it, and that's probably one of his biggest attributes. You see it in a game, he'll make mistakes and you never really see him flustered. We all make mistakes, but no, Lennon's a top player. I'd love to be in the top six for him to hopefully go and showcase his talents, to hopefully get a couple more pounds from him in the summer. But there's no doubt he's a top talent. He's somebody that's been worth talking about for a long time, and hopefully he can have a good last. Hopefully it's not his last 5 games, but if it was to be his last 5 games, hopefully it's a good 5. And we can cash in as much as we can.
What words of wisdom did you give him for going into that Scotland hotel?
Asked my dad if he lost my number. I was like,
try to get you another call up.
I was looking forward to just seeing how he enjoyed it. See just the differences, like the day to day, the pitches, the other boys, how they conduct themselves. That's always the thing I found really exciting, like seeing how these top pros turn up and they give everything every day. You're kind of used to seeing some boys that slack off, and it was good to be a part of, and I was excited to see how he found it. And by all accounts, the people I'd spoke to said he'd done really well, and I was loving hearing about the food when he came back because I've missed it.
Priorities, food, honestly. Stephen O'Donnell's teammates will be delighted to hear that he thinks they slack off.
I know, I was just about to say that. Name some names,
brilliant.
Please.
Good. Luckily, you've been saved by the timer, I think. Thank you very much to Stephen O'Donnell, Ross Laidlaw. Bottom 6 battle for you both, but we wish you well. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks, guys.
Right, let's go to the green side of Edinburgh then. We've got Chris Cadden of Hibs. How are you? Absolutely flying as a team this season. It must be a nice position to be in.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good since the start of the season, to be honest. But it's been good. Obviously, the run we've been on has been great. So I was sort of looking forward to the end of the season now.
See, I would like to ask, so previous managers, you've had Sean Maloney, Nick Montgomery, young managers, fresh ideas, which I think probably the players would have enjoyed that bit different and believed in. David Gray's came in, probably again, fresh ideas, relatable to the squad. What has been the biggest difference?
I don't know, to be honest. It's hard to sort of pinpoint what it was. I think, to be honest, I've sort of said that since the start of the season, obviously we went through a lot of adversity. We were in a real bad place and whatnot, but the squad just sort of gelled together. At that, I think adversity sort of does that to you. It's sort of either go one or two ways, and we just sort of stuck together and just sort of realised that as a people in the building, training ground, in terms of the players and the manager and whatnot, it was only us that were going to get us out of it. And we just sort of worked hard, and as you've probably heard before in managers' interviews, and people said that the gaffer just sort of set us short-term goals and just sort of catch the team in front of us, which was realistic at the time, and what we've sort of done throughout the run, we've managed to turn it around, which has been great. So it's probably hard to pinpoint what it is at one moment or sort of a difference. There's probably a number of things, but it's been tough to get out it. Don't get me wrong, it's not been easy, but it's been I'm obviously glad to get out it and sort of be at the top end of the table now.
Does the psychology change when there are no teams left to catch and you're the one that everybody's trying to catch?
Listen, if we keep winning games, then it'll be tough to catch us. So that's the goal on Saturday. That's what we'll win in with. And to be honest, this is why we've trained so hard and worked so hard to get out it. It's sort of a business end of the season, big games against Aberdeen, sort of fighting for European football. It's where you want to be as a Hibs player and where I want to be as well. So we'll be looking forward to the game.
Stephen, do you not think though, like, given just generally how tight the league can be, there's still a feeling that teams can put a run together, but still everybody can kind of beat everybody. But a run of that length, that's incredible.
People go on runs, and you'll have seen it that they're just having that purple patch.
That's what I mean. This is too long.
But you've went right through it. You've played every team more than once. You've beat them, and probably some of the draws, Ross County away, and a few others, maybe feel like defeats at the time. But then when you look back at a chunk of games and you go, this is 10, 11, 12, and it just keeps going. For me, that must give you massive confidence going into what is high-pressure games.
Yeah, of course it does. I mean, I think it's stupid not to use the confidence and momentum that we've got. As you say, I've been in Scotland for a good few years now. So I've been coming to the end of experience pro now. So I've been here for playing in the Premier League for years, and to do the sort of run that we've done has been, it's tough and it's hard, and I know how hard the league is because, as you say, everybody can beat everybody, and I think the quality of the league's really good this year. So for us to do it's been great, but I think sort of the mindset going into Saturday is you don't really get in. Well, you don't get in for the run we've been on going into the game on Saturday. It's still going to be 0-0 start of the game, and Aberdeen will go on high as well from getting to the Scottish Cup final. So about using the momentum we've got, but also we can't be complacent. We know we need to keep on doing what we're doing and keep on trying to be the best version of ourselves that we can be, which we have done throughout the run, and it's been successful. So we'll keep trying to do it with that.
That is devastating that he's now referring to himself as an experienced pro, a veteran. That makes me feel.
What I would say is it flies by, so just take it on every year.
That's awful. See how many grey. I got my hair cut this morning. See how many greys are in there.
I thought you put that in as
a lot more
style
than I expected. What's been the highlight of this run, and do you now know all the words to Sunshine on Leith?
I know, probably not before it, but I think all the boys have now known all the ones, or the boys that have just sort of came. Highs would probably, I think, Hearts on the Easter Road. That was special. That was a real big game. Won the Easter Road against Hearts is brilliant. The feeling after it and whatnot. So probably that would probably be the highlight. But there's been many ones. It's been a good run, so I try to think back in there. So
who are the boys? Seriously, have the guys had to almost learn that because they don't want to be caught on camera getting the words wrong?
I think who was it? Was it Killie? I think he was listening to his car on the way in because we told him that if we beat Hearts, then it would be played. So he was trying to learn the words. By a few, they all absolutely love it, and they all know the words now.
On a personal side, how's it been playing with your brother?
Do you know what? It's been good. It's been brilliant. I mean, playing at Hibs and winning games of football, for me personally, is probably no better place to play. It's a great place to sort of win when things are going good. It's brilliant, honestly. It's so good. But then sort of look alongside and you do that with your brother. It's a special feeling, especially your twin brother as well. It's sort of really, really rare and it's been really, really good. Sort of special season. I think I've not really looked back on it too much because you're always sort of looking at the next game. But I think once we look back at this season, it's a real proud season for us as well. And I mean, Nicky's ticket requests are always through the roof every week. And I think how he's played as well, he's been a credit to himself. He's been brilliant, to be honest. From a selfish point of view as well, when he signed, I was just buzzing because I knew the quality that Hibs were getting as a player. Obviously seen him throughout his career and I knew what sort of qualities and delivery and whatnot he can bring. So when he came, I was absolutely buzzing, and I think he's shown that throughout this season. He's been tremendous. Now credit to himself, which is great. But no, listen, it's been special, and it's probably hard to put into words, to be honest.
Are you still getting stick for hanging about together too much in the training ground? Have you managed to go your separate ways yet?
No, all the time. We've just sort of realised that's the way it is. So the people's actually stopped giving us it.
See, in terms of from my experiences playing with Hearts, playing with Rangers, there's that bigger pressure than say other clubs. You've been at Hibs. You've experienced some hard times. What have you thought of that extra pressure? Did you realise that was going to come before you signed, and how have you dealt with it?
I think you sort of know that Hibs is a big club, obviously, sort of being from Scotland and whatnot, but then you don't probably realise it until you sign how big it is. I've moved through Edinburgh as well, so you're sort of right in the heart rate and whatnot. But as you say, the hard times are hard, of course they are, which is, listen, that's the nature of playing at a big club, but I think it's all worth it for the good times, because as I say, when it's good, it's brilliant, and it sort of keeps you fighting, keeps on wanting to get to the good times. And how I've dealt with it, listen, you just sort of need to deal with it. I think experience helps. So as I say, I'm getting that experience pro now, which is crazy. But experience helps, and sort of as you go through it, and you sort of learn to not get too high, not get too low, and just sort of keep on going. But listen, it's a great place to play, and I've absolutely loved my time here, and it's been one of the best decisions sort of in my career, sort of coming here and signing, and yeah, I absolutely love it. I've
seen a few Hibs fans grumbling that the third best team in the country at the moment's got nobody in team of the year. Have you lot been running around annoying everybody on a Saturday afternoon? Is that why there wasn't enough votes? What's happened there?
It's a strange one, that, isn't it? I'm not sure. I think a few of the boys deserve it, to be honest. Nicky's been great, Rocky, Triantis. But listen, the team's good. I mean, you look at the team, it's a good team. But I think the quality of the league's been good this year. But listen, from a biased point of view, I think if the boys deserve that, I think even Boyley's probably one of Boyley's best seasons as well. So a few of the boys have deserved it, but I'm a bit biased, to be honest.
And final question, now that it's all going so well, you're proud of your brother being there, have you finally forgiven him for going away on your stag do while you were injured and had to stay at home?
Aye, I forgive him, to be honest, but we've got his stag do this summer as well, so I'm trying to get a joint one maybe. But aye, nah, okay, it's alright. He had a great time, so that's the main thing.
Is your speech ready?
No started it yet, which is a bit of an issue, to be honest. But I'll need to actually sit down and do that. But his was actually alright as well, so I've got a bit of living up to do.
Pressure's on. Good man, thank you very much. One of the informed teams in the country and a big part of it as well, Chris Cadden. All the best for the rest of the campaign. Conor, sum up the season then, because obviously brilliant for the club, maybe mixed with a bit of frustration, having the injury and so on. What's it been like overall?
Yeah, obviously from a club perspective, it's been a good and successful season. Obviously getting top 6 again, but personally, it's been really hard and probably the most challenging of my career so far. It's just I've been a long time injured, and I've really struggled a lot, especially with the second injury. The first one, when I got surgery on my knee, I sort of had a time frame, and every week I was just ticking off weeks, and I knew when I would be back. Where with my Achilles, there was no finishing line. It was just I didn't know what was happening, so it was tough. And to be back and celebrate on the pitch, getting top 6 again, it made all that hard work worth it. Because
it's the bit that fans and people on the outside don't see. You're out for a bit, and you'll be back when you're back. What's been so challenging about it then? Because it's listening to you, it sounds like it was quite a tough road.
Yeah, it's just more that, like I say, fans probably think, oh, he's injured again, or you're happy to be injured. I'm over here to play football, and that's it. And my daughter and stuff's still back home, so I'm only really here to play football. And when that's took away from me, it's really challenging. But the gaffer and the club and stuff have been brilliant with me. Give me time off when I needed to go home and see her and stuff. And when I knew I was down in the gym, or maybe the physio and all, has been brilliant with me. But yeah, I really struggled with the second one, just because I came back after my knee, scored 2 in my first start against Hibs, and then I was like, right, let's go. Like, I'm feeling really good, and then just tore my Achilles in training one day, and I was back to square one.
I think, as you say there, fans don't understand and appreciate how tough being out. You don't feel as part of it as you do when you're in the team or when you're in the squad. What has got you through it? How have you felt you could contribute to the squad when you've not been fit?
To be honest, I think having that 2 goals against Hibs when I came back, and that feeling of scoring and the enjoyment. I had my daughter at the game and my mum that day, and I was just kept thinking, work hard to get back to this day. It'll come, and thankfully, touch wood, it's been going okay since I've come back. But yeah, I've missed a lot of football, and like you just see people all the time. Oh, he's injured again. He's never playing that out one. But realistically, every footballer wants to be on the pitch. I'm sitting in the gym every day, looking out the window at the boys having fun and playing games, and you're just doing another day of rehab. And yeah, it's challenging, really tough. But obviously, you just have to take some sort of positives and hang on to them good moments that you've found and you've felt while playing here. And we've had plenty of them. And I missed out on Europe as well last year after playing majority of the season last year. So real tough times. But it's obviously been rewarded with a top 6 finish because the boys have done well.
How big is that achievement? Because not only doing it once, but the club has done it now 3 times in a row. Just must be quite special to be a part of.
Yeah, I think that's what the gaffer was saying. I think it was only us, Rangers and Celtic, in the last couple of years have been the only consistent ones in the top 6. And it just, club at our size is consistency levels, and that comes from the gaffer every day. And I know everyone says this, but we have a really good bunch. We just work hard. We're a real unit, and he's built a real togetherness within the club. And I think that shows on the pitch, and the fans get behind us, and it's been really enjoyable. But obviously, we've had our challenging times, and we've had ups and downs, and it was a real sluggish start to the season with Europe. Getting that thirsty Sunday when we're not really used to it, and boys traveling and stuff, they found it hard. But obviously, experiences that they'll have for the rest of their lives, and I'm obviously gutted that I didn't play in any of them because I was here. The home games was sold out, and it was brilliant experience, brilliant atmosphere for the lads. But yeah, we've been doing well.
I was going to ask you about that. So you do brilliant last season, get Europe. Again, everybody just thinks brilliant to playing in Europe, but the Thursday, Sunday is really tough. This season, to get in top 6 through that hard part at the start of the season, how have you found that as a squad? How have you managed to have the long-term view that even though this is a condensed period, we still need to perform, we still need to win to get obviously top 6?
Yeah, I think that's been the most challenging thing. Obviously, when I came here at the start of last season, we just got Europe for the first time. Everyone was over the moon, and the gaffer and all was like, "Mate, let's, we'll be fine." But when you're not used to it, it affects players, especially traveling and then playing on a Thursday night, maybe traveling home on a Friday and having to one day prepare for a game on a Sunday. It's tough, and like I say, I think the boys obviously would love to do it again, and it's not a negative, but it's just obviously something to get used to. And I think to get another season in the top 6 here, just the consistency levels, and I think the big results that we've had this year, the gaffer's never been too high on us, never been too low when we get beat. It's just about that, doing the same things well every day when we show up in training. Every player knows what he wants from them, and I think it pays off.
In amongst that tough spell, I take it you're chuffed for your cousin as Caelan Boyd Munce, in case people haven't heard the story yet, and he's been flying, hasn't he, and got a lot of rave reviews. That'd been nice to see. I know you'd have rather been involved yourself, but a bit of pride to see him doing so well.
Yeah, I think he's took his game to the next level. I think in the last couple of months he's been one of the best players in the league. Never mind our team. He's playing at such a high standard, and sitting watching him play at that level, I'm obviously delighted for him. Our families are happy for him, and really, really good. He's really, really performing such a high level, and obviously as a team and as a club, we're benefiting from him playing at such a high level. So yeah, he's been brilliant.
Are you and him the manager's favourites? Were you ever aware of each other back home? What's the connection been like?
Depends who you asked. He would probably say me, because I probably asked the manager for more than what he would. But no, listen, Caelan's really, really easy work, really laid back type of person. Just goes about his day, works hard, and he's really easy to deal with. I think the manager will tell you that. But when I first came, and we were both playing together, it was brilliant. Our mums coming over and seeing us all as a family playing, it was really good. And in the summer when we played against Spain together for Northern Ireland, it's memories that our family will always have. But the last month or two, he's took his game to another level, and yeah, we've obviously as a club benefited.
Just
from him.
On the manager, so come in, built his squad, he's progressed individuals like yourself and others, getting international recognition for the players. What is it he does? I personally know how hard it can be to keep a changing room happy, all engaged, all being a one unit. You talked about that being part of your success. What is it that he's got?
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. Like players like myself who have obviously been injured for a long time, and boys that aren't playing, making them feel welcome and part of the team all the time. We're all together. Like if he gives boys a day off, everyone will get the day off. He'll not have drips and drabs, boys coming in training when everyone else is off. We're all one unit, and he's created a real bond here. And obviously being here and being part of it, for me personally, he's been brilliant with me. Anytime I've had any trouble or needed to go back home or anything like that, as soon as I've said anything to him, like, go ahead, do what you need to do, come back. He's been top drawer with me, and I think he really looks after the players, deep down. When if you really need him, or he'll be there at the other end of the phone. And he knows really what gets players the best out of them. Some players need a hug, some players need a good bollocking sometimes, and that's what happens. But yeah, great man management, and we're really lucky to have him.
See, on that then, will he be, or what is the message going into these post-split games? The arithmetic is there. You might still finish fifth, but obviously it's a bit of a long road with a limited number of games. How important is it that the holiday mode doesn't begin, foot doesn't come off the gas? I doubt it'll be a problem for you because you're chomping at the bit. You've missed out, but generally speaking, will he be demanding that these games are still taken seriously?
Yeah, we had a meeting yesterday morning, first thing, and that was the first thing he said. We're not on holiday here. We 5 really big games and starting on Saturday, and we have to just look at trying to beat Rangers on Saturday and take it from there. We're all playing each other, and apart from Dundee United and Celtic, we've beat everyone else in the top 6 this year. So, we're capable of beating these teams, and we're not just going to show up here and roll over, go happy with top 6. Let's see where it can take us, but let's just focus on Saturday, like he said.
Brilliant, Conor. Well, you deserve a good end to the season. You've had a rough ride, but we appreciate you joining us. Thanks a lot. All the best. Right then, let's take a look at the fixtures. The first set of post-split games, and it's an easy one that draws your eye right to the top because it kicks off first. Dundee United against Celtic, and the big story, Stephen, no surprises, Celtic can wrap up that title. It's been in the works for a while, to be fair, but this is when they can officially wrap it up.
Yeah, and I think for the last, or a few weeks ago, you're looking at the Celtic performance and it was a bit like, are they that far ahead? It's inevitable, and the performances probably weren't there, but I think from Kilmarnock in the league, the cup semi-final, it looks as if they're ready to do it, and I'm pretty sure their performance this weekend will merit the same as the last two.
Yeah, Brendan Rodgers always spoke about wanting to sprint over the line. The St Johnstone game meant they couldn't really do that. It's turned into a shorter sprint, if that makes sense. But do you think he's got that reaction? You look at Kilmarnock, the first 20 minutes. You look at the St Johnstone semi-final, the last 10 of and he's made some decisions there as well. Jota's come out the team from the start. Kuhn's come out the team from the start. He does led the line. I think is that getting that response he's looking for?
I think so. I think it probably did go a bit stale in terms of you could probably pick 9 or 10 of the starting 11. I'll tell you, for James Forrest, when he's come in at a brilliant time. Big games, you're potentially going to win the league. But I think he's had the reaction. It shows you their strength and depth as well.
A few big stories doing the rounds as well, though, away from the sort of here and now on the pitch. I just want to ask you about Greg Taylor. Did you think 2 weeks ago he would sign a new Celtic contract? Do you think he will now? Has it changed in light of his recent involvement? Just how full of praise the manager is for him every time he speaks? I think the performance against Kilmarnock, he was the guy that was instrumental in everything that they'd done in that performance. I think if you'd asked me before then, I thought he was away. But I think the dynamic's different. It's not a straightforward, my contract's up, I'm going to sign it. Because you've got Kieran Tierney coming back, who's a massive player. Greg Taylor's at the age he is, wanting to be the main man. So all that, but I think the manager's putting a good case to him that he's still going to be a big player. So I think it'll be interesting, but I think he's doing all he can. Yeah, in terms of Aberdeen against Hibs, this is the thing. We'll obviously get to it at the bottom, but the beauty of the split, like, two teams with common goals having to play each other. Dundee United will enter that. I think there's a head-to-head in the last day of the season as well. How good is that? And can you look beyond Hibs in this run that they're on? That's a fixture of the weekend for me. I think it's going to be massively important for both teams, psychologically more than anything else. I think if Hibs win it, if Hibs can go to Pittodrie and get a win, the confidence in that just pushes them again. I think they're nearly there in third if they can win this one. I think they've been the most consistent, and I think they've been the best performing team pushing for that. Dundee United, I would argue, has probably been the next one in that. Aberdeen have brilliant start, slow, they're getting there, but their performances for 90 minutes aren't at that level, so it's a pivotal game for both teams. What did you make of the team of the year? The fact that it had no Hibs representatives in it, and people are saying, how can this be? They're third, they're on an amazing run. You've voted in these things before. Is that just because they're really good kind of sum of their parts, and maybe because there was a slower start? Yeah, I think inevitably the team at the top gets flooded. Yeah. I think Celtic are that far ahead they're going to be, so there's only limited places left. And I do think Hibs had a brilliant performer all the way through. That's probably what stopped them, but every player in that squad will be rubbing their hands saying, I'm not caring about that if I can get third. So. Well, Aberdeen got a Scottish Cup final to look forward to as well. On the flip side of that, Hearts do not, and they've also got the disappointment of, dropping into that bottom six. You don't need me to tell you about the expectations there. What does the rest of the season look like at Tynecastle? Short term, I think there's still that element of we need a win to just cancel out anything below us, and then it can be tough seeing that moment where you've not got much to play for. That's the hard part. That's probably where everybody's then got an eye on next season, saying, right, I want to put myself in a strong position with the manager or anything like that. But ultimately, there's a massive disappointment there. See Kilmarnock and Ross County. Ross County have been in the playoffs more than once. It's like the ultimate experience that you love it when it goes well, but you don't want to be part of it again. As for Kilmarnock, it feels like they've had the burden all season of being the team that everybody says, well, they won't go down. They're too good to go down. Derek McInnes is too good a manager. Do you think that brings its own sort of pressure, or do you go the other way and actually buy that hype and say, well, Derek McInnes is the type of man that keeps you in this division? I think he definitely is, but I think from his interviews in the previous weeks, you can tell that he wants it to be known we are in a fight here. I think their home form will help them. They've got 3 home games, which is massive for them.
And for Ross County, I think you can't underestimate how much being through this and your players' mindset being from the start of the season, we need to stay up. That's the aim here. That carries a bit. So that's probably the wee bit they'll have over some of the other teams in the mix.
See the Motherwell St Johnstone one. I will pretend that it was a friend of mine and not me personally who's been frantically scrolling league tables to find out what's the sort of minimum points total you need. What it does actually look like is that this will probably be a record-breaking season. Motherwell 39 points. Teams don't ever finish 11th on 39 points, but everything's been bunched up this season, so they probably need a point to guarantee it. Is that a dangerous mindset to be in as well, or how do you think they approach the? Because believe it or not, they're another one that could have got top 6 in the last 8. It never really felt like Motherwell were going to, but they're in there now.
First of all, it tells you how good the split is. That Hearts and Motherwell, if the fixtures went the other way and the results went the other way, they're safe. The pressure's now pushed back on them. I think they'll be in a comfortable position. As you say, they need a point. Get one win gets you safe. But it's then that focus and not going to the next game. We've got 3 left, 4 left. It's stopping that. They want to do it as soon as they can.
And then St Johnstone need to do that because games 3, 4 and 5 post-split don't matter really if games 1 and 2 don't go poorly. Flip it in a more positive sense. If St Johnstone can open this with a win and see a couple of the other results, I mean, it's game on for a team that everybody had written off.
Definitely. I for one thought they were done. I think see the 2-3 weeks before the split, as much as they're bottom of the league, they've been good weeks. They beat Celtic, they had a semi-final, and going into the split, the main focus has to be we need to be in touching distance. They weren't. There were a few more points away by then. Now they are. As you say, if they get 1 win, it just brings everybody back, confidence builds, and they carry a threat in every game.
Unfortunately for Rangers, part of the reason that the rest of the season doesn't have a lot riding on it is games like this. They've struggled a couple home and away against St Mirren. What does the post-split run look like for Rangers, for Barry Ferguson? I'm not going to say it means nothing. Of course it never does, and there's a game against Celtic and everyone will get very worked up about that on the day, but what do you think the mindset is there for the next few weeks?
I think there's 2 things. I think there's a perception from the fans and everybody that loves the club. There's a level of expectation and that needs to stay. But for a squad that have got 0 to play for, absolutely 0, it's tough to go in every day, have that mentality. This is all subconscious. The level inevitably will drop. That's the coaching staff's job to try and keep that as high as possible. But it probably needs to push on to next week's a big Old Firm game. We better not get beat. So it's going to be it's one of the toughest away games you're getting all season. They need to get through that, hoping that everybody's wanting to play in that Old Firm game.
See, from personal experience, how much are you looking at then the characters, the personal pride that they've got? Because actually, it might not even be Barry Ferguson's either trying to catch for next season. In Václav Černy's case, it's alone finding that bit within you. Or is there scope to see a lot of youngsters? Do people just look for that and then it never really happens in these situations?
I think that's why it is so tough, because there's not a straightforward. You're talking about Hearts. Their players are looking and going, right, I'm going for next season, I'm doing it. There's so many variables in the Rangers setup at the moment. There's a takeover. Who's the manager going to be? Are you coming back after a loan? So I think that's what makes it so tough. We've seen a couple of players in the Aberdeen away game, but I'm not sure that's totally right, because that can also impact a young player. Yes, throw them in, but it gives false economy of where you're actually at in the club. So I think they'll need to deserve it, but we might see change.
Well, I'm excited anyway. The fixtures are brilliant to look forward to. A pleasure to have Stephen Naismith back alongside us. Thank you very much to him. Thank you for watching. Make sure you continue to like and subscribe, and we will see you next time on The Warm Up, brought to you by William Hill, a proper supporter of the SPFL.